awful lot of time. We did, if anyone's interested, just email me, let me know and we can send it out to you. We did a presentation and a report recently, published white paper, I'm not sure what that means, but it was an overview review of lessons from high-profile Irish and UK investigations, and just in terms of giving a bit of background. Do you want to run through background? I'll run through, yeah, perfect, it's fine. In terms of some of them, you'd be familiar reasonably with some of these ones that are here, but just to give a bit of background, there's obviously the Mid-Staffordshire Trust, which was a trust in the UK whereby there was, again, whistleblowing, and what's interesting is that in the majority of these cases it was whistleblowing that actually brought these to the attention of what was going on, but again they showed that there was extremely poor levels of care. Again, in Mid-Staffordshire, a lot of the focus was because the board that had been appointed was focusing very much on financial issues and the future, so that there was a lack of focus from the care perspective. In relation to the Ian Patterson case, which was the breast surgery where they found inappropriate surgeries that were happening at the time, had a lot of implications in terms of privileging and practicing for consultants, and this is a big issue at the moment within private hospitals. We have noticed, and if anyone else has anything to comment on that, it would be great, but certainly from what we've seen in every JCI survey that has happened recently that we've been involved in, practicing privileges and evaluation of consultant doctors is one of the key things they're looking for, and not just within hospitals but also with nursing home settings where they've been over as well. So this concept of how do we know what's actually happening within the hospitals and what information are we using to try and actually identify if there's a trend, you know, and that's really the key part of it, is to support everyone, see if there's a trend. In Liverpool, the NHS, there were difficulties there, and again the same with the Morecambe Bay report, and shipment being the uncontrolled, really, there was nobody looking at the amount of controlled drugs that was in use. But again, there's an awful lot of detailed information behind these, which is very widely available. But what's interesting is when you start to look at what the common themes are in relation to them. Because when you break it down, there was a lot of things that all of them, and there's only a sample of them on the previous page, had in common. And the key one was to do with the governance. So you can kind of see where HIC was coming from to be able to say, look, you need to know if there's a problem in your area, and if we find something that you didn't know about, that's when there's a bit of a difficulty. Because in a lot of these areas, the governance issue was the number one issue that came out in relation to the challenges first. Disappointingly, because I've been in quality for so long, but the majority of these things were identified through patients' whistleblowing, which again, it wasn't necessarily a regulatory body, it wasn't necessarily an audit, it was because patients jumped up and down and said that there's a problem over here and someone needs to go and talk about it. So I'm not saying that there's no benefit of licensing, just saying it does point out. But in terms of the organisational structure, and again, interestingly, and it does become one of the themes that HIC will look at, was to do with risk management, complaint and incident reporting, and that link to monitoring and data, because in the majority, not all, but certainly in the trust's end of it, there was plenty of information available to indicate that there was a problem. You could see it if you looked at the incidences, you could see it if you looked at the complaints, but no one was analysing that information properly to see what was going on. The clearest example of it was that in a number of them in relation to complaints, the numbers of the complaints are being looked at, the length of time it was taken to deal with complaints being looked at, the time it was taken to send out acknowledgement, but no one was actually looking to say, what was the complaint actually about? What are the trends in terms of the information coming in? And how many of those complaints are going to the Ombudsman or somewhere for external review afterwards because people weren't satisfied with the entire process? So while there were systems in place, it's how well are we actually using those systems to get us the information that we need to try and actually improve in terms of pushing it forward. And data and monitoring, when we get into the standards, is one of the big things that HIC will keep talking about, and you'll see it repeated again and again and again as we start going through each of them. It's linked to my first point about the learning piece in terms of how do we learn from it, but they're starting to ask much more questions on what information are we getting from this data, what are we looking for, where are the trends in this, what are these numbers actually telling us, and can we get a bit more information out of them in terms of where things actually are. So again, all this information is on your slide, but in terms of the common findings, which definitely are driving HIC, a lot of them are there. The one I didn't mention is about the culture. And culture, quality and safety is the current buzzword at the moment, I think anyway. It's slightly moved on from risk management, but culture, quality and safety certainly seems to have taken up a lot of space, which is great. But it's this idea as to How confident are people to be able to tell us where there's an issue, and how confident are we that we know what's going on and that people feel empowered to be able to talk to us and let us know what's happening. It is linked to incident reporting, but it's also greater than that. It's one part of it, but it affects it across the whole board. So,